The leaker is back and continuing to leak things with poor quality photos. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at more of the absolutely insane Modern Horizons 3 leaks that just keep on trickling out before spoiler season officially begins. Let's take a look at Modern Horizons 3. Alright everybody, thanks so much for being here. As always, I really do appreciate it. And if you do enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, and then click the bell icon if you want to be notified when future videos are uploaded. I have decided to forego fancy formatting today because every single one of the pictures that we're going to look at are just like potato quality scans or awkward angle scans of cards, and it's just I'm not going to invest the time and effort into that because I suppose possibly we don't even know if these are 100% official or not, but I mean, every leak has been confirmed so far. I'm guessing someone just like got their hands on product early and has just been like trickling a few things out here and there. I really don't know. What I do know is that some of the cards are actually really good and a few of them are completely over the top. So we're going to talk about some of them in today's video. Starting us off with Dog Umbra, which is a new card. It is 1 and a white enchantment aura with flash enchant creature. As long as another player controls enchanted creature, it can't attack or block. Otherwise, Dog Umbra has Umbra armor. This, of course, says if enchanted creature be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. This was previously called Totem Armor, but I think they've just changed it because all the other cards were Umbra related. So it's not a new mechanic necessarily, just another way for it. This is kind of neat, I guess, being able to stop something for 2 mana from attacking. Obviously, you know, using it on an opponent's creature, but you do have the ability to put it on your own creature as well, so it is a bit multi-purpose, which is nice. Not a bad card, definitely a decent common, and it certainly has some you know, application within a draft setting, without a doubt. I don't know how it'll be otherwise, but it's not a terrible card. A few reprints to touch on. Deserted Temple getting a reprint here in Modern Horizons 3 is a very, very good card, and not a lot of printings of it either. Just a decent way to untap lands. Obviously, you know, going to have some strong synergy with things like Cabal Coffers or, you know, Nykthos or anything that can tap for, you know, multiple mana. Gaia's Cradle, I guess, if you're rich like that. Just a good reprint in general, though, for that. And I'm on Magic spoiler looking at these because Reddit had them all over the place, and I wanted to be able to just kind of go through them with some level of coherency. But it's, again, these are all technically not confirmed yet, but like I said in the intro, I mean, it's pretty fair to say that these are probably all going to be real, but just take that with a grain of salt before you start, you know, buying things in conjunction with anything here. It is possible that they could be fake. I don't expect it, but we'll see. Kalia of the Vast is getting a reprint, and the wild part about this is that now it's going to become legal in Modern and other, you know, I guess technically Modern's really the only ones to be impacted by this, but what's wild about this, and I made a video talking about this yesterday, this card is so powerful in Commander. It's a very, very popular commander that can do all kinds of crazy things, and now it's essentially going to be legal in Modern, and people are hyped, but also, I'd say slow it down a little bit. Modern's a different format than Commander, and you do have the benefit in Commander of being able to not only cast this right from the command zone, but build around it entirely where you can maximize its usage. Obviously, Modern has a very different card pool than Commander to an extent, so you don't really, it's not a one-for-one exchange in terms of how good the card is, but I do think you're going to see people trying to find ways to make it work due to its popularity, and it's an interesting experiment to see how it does, and then whether or not other cards may also follow suit with that, you know, going into Commander. Because it's definitely a good card, it's a popular card, and it'll be interesting to see what type of impact it has in Modern, because as far as I know, it has not had much of an impact in like Vintage or Legacy or any of those formats, despite being legal there. I could be wrong though. If I'm wrong, let me know. Buried Alive is also getting a reprint. Really good card. I believe this is going to be in Modern for the first time as well. A mass, you know, mill 3 mana. You can put up to 3 creatures from your graveyard in the battlefield. Not a bad card at all. Obviously, very good for combo graveyard-oriented decks. It's a strong card in certain decks in Commander. I expect that there's going to be ways it sees play here. It's just a good card, and you know, again, the speed of Modern is something to take into consideration, but setting up your graveyard, setting up your future combos, there's got to be decks that will want to utilize this. I think that's fair to say. Now, that's just a couple of the reprints. We're going to move back to new cards here, and one of the most absolutely busted cards I've seen in quite some time, Sowing Mycospawn. This is 3 and a green Eldrazi Fungus with Devoid and Kicker 1 Wastes. When you cast this spell, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. When you cast a spell, if it was kicked, exile target land. Because that's exactly what it needed. We needed to be able to exile lands on top of everything else. What's absolutely nuts about this card, though, is that for 4 mana, you're getting any land from the deck. That means cards like Gaia's Cradle, that means cards like Urborg, that means cards like Eye of Ugin if you're playing this in Eldrazi, that means cards like Field of the Dead. I mean, those are just 4 of the most powerful options you have with this card. But for 4 mana, and I can't see any reason that if you're playing green, you wouldn't play this card. Unless you're playing like mono green where you only have forests. I guess I gotta understand, like, logistically speaking, if it's, you know, not fitting into what you're looking to do. But even then, I mean, it's a free, it brings it out untapped. It can certainly get you access to all kinds of things. It's a really, really strong card that I think is a good example of what Modern's power creep typically does, although ironically, I don't know what type of impact this would have in Modern so much as it will in Commander. I definitely think this card is strong as hell in Commander with the things you can get, but Modern does have access to a lot of those same cards, and depending on the combos and stuff, you could very well see people trying to play this there too. But I mean, just being able to search those powerhouse lands that don't even come into play tapped, this is just an insane card. I continue to be blown away by the Eldrazi and how powerful they actually are in this set. So just something to note. The Necrobloom. This is 1 white-black-green legendary creature plant with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. Land cards in your graveyard have Dredge 2. You may return a land from your graveyard to your hand and mill 2 cards instead of drawing a card. So during your draw phase, get back a land. Obviously works really well with the Landfall trigger with fetch land specifically, because every turn you're able to guarantee that you trigger these effects multiple times. It's a super cool card. I love Landfall decks. I think I've been wanting to build a new Landfall commander deck for a while, and this is definitely good. It's not crazy broken or anything, but it's definitely strong as a way to get back a lot of stuff from your discard pile. And, you know, there's so many cards that interact with lands and Landfall. This is a really good color combination. It's good for Commander. I can't comment too much on Modern. Again, not a format I have a ton of familiarity with, but just the card seems good and will definitely see some play in something, whether that's Commander or Modern, what have you. But I think it's really good for Landfall, and obviously Dredge, getting back your lands, is a really powerful. Plus the mill. I mean, it works well with some of the other, you know, black-green fungus cards or Mixalon that want to mill stuff. So there's a lot of synergy with other card combinations within these colors, and this card can do a lot. So I think it'll be a cool Commander. Ocelot Pride. This is a wild one, man. This feels like, you know, this set's Esper Sentinel, if you will. It's a 1-drop white with first strike and lifelink. It is a cat. It has Ascend, so if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then, if you have the City's Blessing, for each token you control that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. Obviously, Rin and Seri is one of the first thing that comes to mind here, with cats being able to generate a bunch of tokens and then just be like, all right, we're going to multiply them, we're going to make more. But it doesn't just work there. I mean, it works within the Landfall decks with, I think it's, is it Felidar Retreat that can make cat tokens, it can buff them up. It works with a bunch of different things. But again, this card is really good from a, you know, constructed format perspective, as well as a 1-drop that can just keep multiplying your tokens. It's not a legendary, so you can have multiple, you can make a shit ton of token spam, and it's still a 1-drop 1/1 with first strike and lifelink. It's not hard to resolve its effects. Just overall, it's an extremely powerful card. I'm not surprised it's a mythic given the amount of application that it has, but when I saw this, I had to read it a couple of times to be like, where's the downside here? Like, this is so good, and getting the City's Blessing with it is really not that hard. I mean, it might take a couple turns, but if you're playing token spam, getting those permanents out is not going to be super difficult, especially with low-cost cards like this. It's just overall a very, very good card to have. The Raven Charm is 1 and a white instant. Choose 1. It deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to target creature, destroy target enchantment, or exile any number of target players' graveyards. A solid utility piece. I don't think it's necessarily crazy, but it's a good way to, you know, remove some problematic stuff. Definitely not a bad card in drafting, I don't think, as a way to get over different things. But it's cute. I'm not too much to say about it, but I just wanted to at least, you know, acknowledge its existence there. Detective's Phoenix is an enchantment creature phoenix that's 2 and a red with bestow. Pay red, collect evidence 6. To pay this bestow cost, pay a red, and then exile cards with total mana value 6 or greater from your graveyard. It has flying and haste, and then enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and haste. You may cast it from your graveyard using its bestow ability. So, nice to see the collect evidence mechanic come back after being introduced in Murders at Karlov Manor. Obviously with bestow combined in there, but it's a good phoenix. It can obviously cast from grave, and being able to bring out something that can buff your other creatures up from grave using that cost, pretty cool. I think as a whole it's actually a really interesting card, and it's not bad at all for phoenixes. I know that there's a lot of phoenix cards that see a lot of play in modern, so it's definitely going to be good there, but it's got a lot going for it. There's a lot on this card, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where it fits into strategies. Of course, I'm not sure if it's a mythic or a rare. I can't really tell because of the way it's going. I can't. It looks like it's a rare. I can't really tell with the coloration on this as I'm editing it, but I think it's a rare. So either way, it's a pretty solid card. Disruptor Flute is 2-cost colorless artifact with flash. As Disruptor Flute enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with a chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities with sources with a chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana sources. It's alright. Basically like a more, it's almost like a better-ish version of Pithing Needle in the sense that like it can buff the cost, and so I mean there's a lot of ways to utilize this as like I think maybe a side card, but also in Commander it feels kind of douchey but strong. Like you could choose the commander and then your opponents can't cast it. I mean obviously like you're kind of a douche if you do that, but like if you're playing competitively and you're trying to win stuff, I could see where this would have application there. I think it's objectively better than Pithing Needle, even though it costs 1 more because of, you know, the additional benefits that come with it. But it's a good card that I think is gonna more than likely be more popular in, you know, 60 card formats than it is going to be in Commander. Still, it's good and worth mentioning, so I wanted to throw that one out there. And finally, we've got Evolution Witness. This card, I continue to be amazed at the power creep, especially with the commons. This is Evolution Witness, 2 and a green, creature, elf, shaman, mutant with 1 and a green, adapt 2. Of course, adapt says if this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, you may put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, so not bad. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on this card, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Wow. This is like Eternal Witness on crack. I mean, obviously Eternal Witness is able to grab any card, so there is that downside of permanent versus whatever. But I mean, let's not pretend putting +1/+1 counters on things is anywhere near difficult. You can do it with cards like Defiler of Vigor and just get a bunch of counters out. Green has so many ways to do it with things like that new Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, and this can just keep doing it. It's not a once per turn. It's not to mention it can trigger its own ability with Adapt, but you don't have to do that. There's 1,000 other ways to put counters on stuff and just keep getting things back, which is kind of insane for a common, just to point that out. But what a wild card this is, and I don't get if I'm missing something maybe, but let me know what you guys think of this card, because I am reading it and I'm just like, holy shit, this is extremely powerful, and it just is going to do so many different things in terms of recursion and getting things back. I don't see a downside here. So this, again, is going to do it for today's video. These aren't all the leaks, but I didn't want to make the video too long, so I wanted to give people a chance to go through and look at stuff. I'll make another video covering more of them, and we'll see how they keep coming out, because I'm trying my best to cover them as quickly and effectively as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.